The United Species spent 300 years planning this war. Humanity took 6 minutes to end it. The funny part? We even sent a warning. They just didn't understand it. The United Species spent 300 years planning this war. Humanity took 6 minutes to end it. The funny part? We even sent a warning. They just didn't understand it. In the Council Hall of the United Species, a floating construct orbiting the neutral moon of Sindrel, 12 alien leaders of 12 mighty civilizations convened under a false sense of unity. Gilded banners hung from crystalline walls, each embroidered with an empire's crest. The mood was thick with confidence, arrogance, and the kind of smugness only found in bureaucrats who hadn't lost a war in generations. Humans are out of their depth, rasped High Admiral Vaz of the Troll. His neck frills shimmered as he leaned forward. They still use manual docking. I mean manual. They still eat animals, scoffed a glowing orb named Elmari, representing the Athenians. With teeth. A few chuckled. Even the Zarn observer, Captain Nyravox, allowed herself a smirk. Only she didn't laugh for long. The chamber lights shifted. A human stepped in, flanked by 2 guards in ceremonial Earth Navy blacks. No armor. No weapons. Just an outdated data pad under one arm and a cup of coffee in his right hand. Ah, said the human, smiling warmly. Thank you for waiting. Terran Command sends its regards. I'm Commander Vance Holden, here to politely decline your ultimatum. You're declining? Vaz sneered. Are you even authorized to speak? Vance took a sip. I'm authorized to smile politely while you make your last mistake. Gasps rippled across the chamber. Almari's glow dimmed. Is that a threat? Asked a crusty diplomat from the Maltari hive. Absolutely not, Vance replied. It's a courtesy. He reached into his coat and pulled out a piece of thick parchment. Hand-drawn ink, aged at the edges. I brought you a flower, he said, unfolding it. The council leaned forward. It wasn't a flower. Not really. The sketch showed 12 strange crescent shapes arranged in a spiral, intersecting at precise angles. Some had jagged ends, others radiated thin energy lines. At the center sat a symbol no translator could interpret. The sketch pulsed faintly, reacting to the energy in the room. What is this? Asked Nyravox. It's a diagram of our newest fleet configuration, Vance said casually, tucking the paper back into his coat. Made from the oldest kind of data. Ink. Thought you might appreciate the irony. This is an insult, hissed Vaz. You mock the combined strength of 12 empires? I'm warning you, Admiral, Vance said softly. We don't bluff. We build things and never test them until necessary. Today, you made them necessary. Silence. A long one. Nyravox narrowed her eyes. You're confident for a species with barely 100 combat-ready cruisers. Oh, those old ships? Vance waved a hand. Obsolete. What we're using now? Not even logged in your galactic databases. Vaz pounded the table. You dare threaten us with ghost ships and riddles? Vance stood, nodded respectfully, and set down his coffee cup on the central council table. Its surface lit up, scanning the ceramic. Inside the glaze, microprinting revealed a QR tag. Old Earth tech. Simple. Crude. But as the council's table processed it, the room's atmosphere dropped. The air shimmered. Processing signal, the AI translator said. 12 languages glitched. Then aligned. The message played, slowly, in a chillingly calm voice. Experimental Fleet Valkyrie 0 activated. 0 hour initiated. Pattern bloom. Mission protocol, demonstration. Target, observers. Duration, 6 minutes. Then silence. The cup vibrated once. Stopped. What was that? Almari whispered. Vance smiled. A polite knock on the door. He turned and exited, whistling something tuneless and old, an Earth sea shanty, perhaps. The guards followed. The doors closed behind them with a hiss like an executioner's breath. Counselors looked at each other confused. They hadn't even seen a war declaration. No ships on scans. No movement near their sectors. No alerts. Then Niravox's comlink buzzed violently. She stepped back and answered it. Static. Then screams. Zarnholm relay, repeat, Terran vessels above the moon's orbit. They're not showing on radar, but systems are. No. The signal cut. Almari pulsed violently. Is this a simulation? Check long-range sensors. Naira barked. Screens lit up. Each alien delegate accessed their home world's military feeds. Trawl Prime, fleet gone. Debris blooming like fireworks. Maltari static. Ethian Nebula, silent. 12 empires. None answered. The chamber's silence was broken only by a faint clicking. It came from the cup. It ticked. Like an antique watch. Then stopped. Naira realized it wasn't just a signal. It was a countdown. Midnight. And just like that, the room dimmed. A new voice flooded every console in the chamber. It was Vance's. Calm. Crisp. Cold. 6 minutes are up. Consider this our official response. Lights flickered. Outside the window, space shimmered. A shadow bloomed, a curvature of light that bent wrong, like space itself exhaling. Dozens of angular, unnatural shapes materialized. Ships. But not any known configuration. Some rotated mid-dimension. Some were partially invisible. Others hummed with blue lightning. Their very geometry felt wrong. That's not engineering, whispered Almari. No, Naira replied. That's intent. Then a final message came through. One sentence. No flourish. Do not provoke species that learned war by mistake and mastered it by choice. The ships disappeared. No attack. No follow-up. Just silence. The council sat in stunned disbelief. Every one of them had just witnessed the quiet birth of terror. Naira stared at the cup on the table. Still warm. Diplomat? She whispered. No. That man is a surgeon. In the black between stars, where light dies and echoes linger, the Valkyrie fleet drifted like a myth summoned from humanity's darker dreams. From a distance, the ships looked incomplete, half-built phantoms of sleek lines and jagged, wrong-angled symmetry. But as they moved, space itself bent. They weren't built to be admired. They were built to be misunderstood. On board the flagship Hypnos, Commander Vance Holden stood alone in the observation deck, staring through reinforced glass at the scattered wreckage of 12 alien fleets. Fragments floated like glitter in a void that no longer cared who owned what. Behind him, the AI known as Murphy activated with a cheerful beep. Update, sir. Estimated recovery time for all United Species military communication, 11 hours, 36 minutes. Vance didn't respond. He simply sipped his tea, black, bitter, and oversteeped. You used the bloom pattern, Murphy added. Had to, Vance murmured. Their logic doesn't account for aesthetics. I needed something beautiful. The spiral detonation trajectory resulted in 94% fleet loss with no direct weapons fired. That's a record. Not a win, Vance corrected, setting down the cup. Just the first incision. The doors slid open behind him. Lieutenant Juno Park stepped in, crisp and unshaken, despite the carnage she just helped deliver. You called that a demonstration? She asked, arms folded. We vaporized 6 planets' worth of military assets in minutes. They weren't assets, Vance said flatly. They were beliefs with engines. Juno approached the window. Her voice softened. You didn't even flinch. He didn't. Not now. Not ever. They forced our hand the moment they sent us a treaty written in their own language, with ours added as an afterthought. We were a footnote. That was the test. And we passed? No. We made them realize they were never the teachers. Juno exhaled, watching a trawl cruiser's hull split slowly along its antimatter seam. They'll retaliate, she said. They'll hesitate, Vance corrected. And then they'll panic. That's when we find out who wants peace, and who wants revenge. She glanced sideways. And if none want peace? Vance looked her dead in the eye. Then we finish the surgery. On the remnants of Troll Prime's outer moon, a surviving scout ship sent distress pings into the void. Aboard, Commander VYXX, one of the few not present at the council, stared at the last known footage of the Valkyrie's ships. What are those angles? She muttered. It's like they aren't following physical law. Her aide, a nervous KRYL named Setcha, chirped. They fold in on themselves, Commander. They're using fourth-dimensional curvature tech. Not possible. Clearly it is. VYXX paced. And their fleet, how'd it appear without warp trails? No heat sigs, no FTL shock? Setcha gulped. There's only one answer. They were already here. She froze. Not arriving. Already here. She turned slowly toward the viewport, suddenly aware of how many, empty, stretches of space surrounded them. How long had the humans been hiding? We thought they were late to the game, she whispered. But they were watching. Always watching. She sat down heavily, wings folding tight. Get me a channel. I want to speak with Earth. Back aboard Hypnos, Murphy displayed the inbound transmission with a blinking indicator. Incoming call from Troll Survivor, Commander VYXX. She's asking for diplomatic contact. Patch her through, Vance said. Her hologram flickered into the room. Frazzled, feathers scorched. But not broken. Commander Holden, she said tightly. I assume you know what I've seen. I do. How's your moon? Shattered, she replied bluntly. And now you want to talk? Vance shook his head. No. I want to listen. That caught her off guard. Listen? We don't want an empire, Vance said. We want deterrence. You tested us. Now you understand the cost. VYXX narrowed her eyes. Why show mercy now? Because it's not mercy, he said simply. It's bait. She blinked. We want your people to tell others, he said. To tell the truth. That the humans you mocked? The ones who fumble with forks and can't agree on movie remakes? We have a rule. He stepped forward, voice razor sharp. We don't strike first. But we always finish last. VYXX's throat clicked once. She ended the call without a word. Later, in the debrief chamber, Juno sat with Vance while tactical displays showed shifting star maps. The United Species territories were blinking, scanning, recalculating, unsure of what was left. Murphy projected the new status. Galactic response estimated 5 days. Juno leaned back. They'll either sue for peace or form something worse. Vance nodded. A Hydra. Many heads. One fear. You think they'll come together to stop us? No, he said. I think they'll try to become us. Juno paused. That's worse. Yes, Vance said. Much. Outside the ship, the Valkyrie fleet reformed in silence, orbiting nothing, signaling no allegiance, carrying no flags. They were human only by intent. And that was enough. In the sprawling, Gothic halls of the Aurelian Convergence Citadel, 27 alien species gathered in grim silence. Representatives of once warring empires, they now sat side by side, some leaking plasma, others coiled tight in mechanical exosuits, staring at the massive display showing Earth's experimental fleet. The footage looped again and again, sleek Terran ships drifting silently before 12 armadas dissolved into clouds of atomic regret. No sound. No warning. Just erasure. Enough, rasped High Executor Velzith of the Varen Dominion. His voice crackled like flint dragged across bone. We must act now. This humanity threatens all order. They never declared war, hissed WRYN, the aquatic matriarch of the Relari depths. They simply appeared, destroyed, and what? Offered tea? They're mocking us, spat Admiral Kektai of the Varn Collective. Their diplomats hand us jokes while holding weapons that bend physics. Don't mistake humor for mercy, said a new voice. Heads turned toward the rear of the chamber. Ambassador Yuvak of the Selene Hive stepped forward, his carapace adorned with fragments of Terran alloys, salvaged from battlefields. Humans are predators. They smile because they enjoy the illusion of peace. Their tactician, Holden, did not hesitate. That's not military discipline. That's instinct. Velzith narrowed his compound eyes. You've met him? I tried to threaten him once, Yuvak said. He corrected my grammar mid-sentence, then destroyed my flagship's shadow drive by describing how it worked, incorrectly. Murmurs rippled through the hall. So, WRYN said, rising. We retaliate. No, Yuvak said, lifting a claw. We unite. Silence. The idea itself was absurd. Unity had been proposed before, usually 5 minutes before someone's planetary core got turned into pudding. But now, with nothing left to lose and no single species strong enough to face the Terran threat alone, unity became terrifyingly practical. Back aboard the Hypnos, Commander Vance Holden stared at the Coalition's first broadcast. The United Response Accord hereby declares Terran Experimental Fleet a threat to universal stability. All member species agree to coordinated retaliation. Finally, Vance said, sipping cold tea. A declaration. Juno leaned over the shoulder of the data console. What's our move? We let them come. Murphy's hologram flickered into view. Sir, based on known warp trajectories and current fleet alignments, they'll hit our forward bastion near Targra V in 37 hours. Perfect, Vance muttered. Juno raised an eyebrow. That system's empty. Exactly. The Coalition arrived early. Hundreds of ships breached into real space with thunderclaps that bruised the very medium they traveled through. Command ships hovered like divine anvils. Swarm fleets moved in tight unison. Massive dreadnoughts locked onto phantom targets and prepared to erase them. Then nothing. No resistance. No defense systems. Just a derelict mining station and a dozen rusted cargo ships. Kektai barked across comms. Is this a trap? No, Velzith responded. It's bait. The moment he said it, the stars above shifted. From behind the second moon, long assumed a natural body, came movement. Slow, deliberate, and terrible. The NGL fleet. Angled. Seamless. Ghost silent. One by one, they peeled from the shadows, their hulls reflecting nothing, absorbing scans, distorting logic. Each vessel shaped like an idea half forgotten in a nightmare. Holden's voice entered the open comm channel. We regret to inform you, you've breached restricted airspace. Please prepare for disarmament. Laughter followed. Genuine. Calm. Then the Terran struck. Not with weapons, at first, but with systems. Coalition comms failed. Targeting arrays looped. Engines reversed. Hulls began folding in ways hulls never should. The Coalition fired blindly, their missiles detonating mid-launch or swerving to strike friendly hulls. Dreadnoughts spun out of sync. Swarms fragmented. It wasn't war. It was dissection. On the Hypnos, Vance stood calmly at the central console. Phase 2? Murphy asked. Phase 2, Vance confirmed. Across the system, EMP mines hidden inside abandoned cargo ships exploded. Not lethal, just humiliating. Weapons shut down. Shields dropped. Engines stuttered. And in the silence that followed, dozens of Terran boarding vessels launched, unarmored, but carrying diplomats in crisp suits. Ambassadors with smiles. And clipboards. Juno watched the monitors with a bemused expression. They're not going to believe this. They will, Vance said. That's the worst part. Aboard the disabled Coalition flagship, Velzitha's screen flickered to life. There sat Vance Holden, polite as ever, sipping tea like nothing had happened. Hello again, he said warmly. Quite the turnout. We're flattered. You planned this, Velzith growled. Of course. You formed a coalition in secret, assembled a joint fleet, and arrived with the intent to retaliate. We just made sure you retaliated at the wrong place. Why? Velzith demanded. Why not just destroy us? Because we're not here to conquer, Vance said. We're here to cure. Velzith tilted his head. Cure? Your arrogance. Your delusion of supremacy. Your assumption that humans are still new to the game. Holden leaned forward. We were never behind. We were just watching to see who would deserve survival. And with that, the Terran feed cut. Later, as recovery ships limped home, the Coalition would rewrite history. They would say it was a misunderstanding. A ceasefire negotiation gone awry. A test gone too far. But every survivor would remember one thing. The humans didn't win by overwhelming force. They won by predicting the enemy's mind before the first shot was fired. And the galaxy began whispering the same word with a new kind of fear. Tactician. Do you know what's more dangerous than a hostile species? Vance Holden asked, his voice low, words measured. A desperate one. And you all made yourselves very, very desperate. He stood on a stage of polished steel inside the Terran Deep Signal Chamber, surrounded by diplomats from 20 systems. Their expressions varied, skeptical, ashamed, horrified, but none dared interrupt. No longer wearing his fleet uniform, Vance had dressed casually. Jeans. Plain shirt. No weapons. That disturbed them more than any plasma cannon ever could. We never came here to fight, he continued. We came to offer perspective. A hollow display flared to life behind him, showing us star maps slowly fracturing. Each major power's territory blinked, then blinked out. You built empires by force. By domination. That was predictable, he said. And predictable is exploitable. A diplomatic envoy from the Ashan Assembly raised two feathery fingers. Then why build the fleet? Why not negotiate like a normal species? Vance chuckled. You didn't want negotiation. You wanted hierarchy. You needed to know where we ranked, and when you couldn't place us, you assumed we were beneath you. That's what this was always about. Juno stepped into the room then, flanked by Murphy's hologram and a quiet Terran AI drone shaped like a friendly service bot. It rolled beside her, offering coffee. No one accepted. The experimental fleet, Juno said, was never built to win wars. It was built to end the concept of war. Silence. Then soft mechanical laughter from the Selene Hive representative. Spoken like a conqueror. Vance gestured to the screen again. You don't get it. We didn't win anything. We just exposed the structure you were already collapsing under. You call it a coalition. We call it an accident waiting for gravity. He tapped a button. Dozens of intercepted transmissions from the Alien Alliance scrolled behind him. Bickering, paranoia, backstabbing plans buried under forced unity. You never feared us. You feared each other more. We just gave you a mirror. The room shifted. Some looked away. Humanity, he said carefully, was experimenting. Not with ships. Not with weapons. But with coexistence. We didn't want to rule. We wanted to see if this galaxy had outgrown its primal instinct to dominate. And if we hadn't responded with violence? Asked Velzith, weary and upright in a corner seat. Vance turned to him. Then the fleet would have remained in simulation. Hidden. Watching. You'd have passed the test. A chill rippled through the room. None dared speak. Later, back aboard the Hypnos, Juno and Vance sat at the observation deck, gazing at the burnout trails of the Coalition fleet now being towed across Terran-controlled sectors. Do you think they'll learn anything? Juno asked. Vance exhaled slowly. Some will. Others will plot revenge. But we've shifted the balance. The myth of Terran ignorance is broken. Now they'll look at us and think twice. Murphy chimed in, dry as ever. Probability of immediate retaliation down by 68.7%. Probability of future sabotage up by 23.4%. Juno laughed lightly. We've made friends. Fear's a good start, Vance muttered. Better than pity. A chime echoed through the bridge. Incoming transmission. The United Species Assembly. A new message. Juno opened it on screen, It was brief. We wished to discuss Terran integration into the Galactic Accord. Immediate dispatch of representatives requested. No fleet escort required. Interesting, Murphy said. No escort? Juno raised an eyebrow. They want to feel safe, Vance murmured. But they've already realized, safety isn't about numbers. It's about understanding the human threshold. And ours, she asked, is where exactly? He didn't answer right away. Instead, Vance stood, hands in pockets, watching the stars slide past as the ship shifted toward Earth orbit. It's never been about how much we can destroy, he finally said. It's about how long we waited not to. 6 months later. In the Grand Galactic Forum, a Terran delegation walked through marble halls once forbidden to them. No guards. No weapons. Just tailored suits and notebooks. The room hushed as Vance took the floor. Not as a tactician. Not as a commander. But as a representative of Earth. We understand, he began. Why you fear us. Why you call us unpredictable. But the truth is, you all had centuries to build peace. You didn't. You built fortresses, alliances, blockades. You ignored logic in favor of leverage. He held up a datapad showing projected trade graphs. Energy spikes. Resource shortages. War economies collapsing after a single Terran system intervention. We've introduced a new currency to your empire, uncertainty. And with that, you can either spiral, or evolve. A Rilari delegate hissed something under her breath. Another alien scribbled notes. And if we refuse evolution? Asked a biofused warlord from the Maktra thrones. Vance smiled. No teeth. Just warmth. Then we'll assume you still believe in strength, he said. And we'll let your assumptions kill you. No laughter this time. No retorts. Just a long, collective silence from species used to ruling, and now unsure of their place on the board. Outside, docked among glittering orbital rings, the Terran experimental fleet waited in perfect stillness. It wasn't there to threaten. It was there as a reminder. Not of what humanity could do, but what it chose not to.